Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be probably one of the more controversial videos that I have made in a while. I mean, I make videos and I give my opinions on things, but this one is probably going to rub a lot of people wrong. So what I would encourage everyone to do is in the comment section, just disagree with me. Be nice. If you want, it's still fine, but voice your disagreements. If you're listening to the video and you're even driving, I would appreciate it if you maybe pull over after listening and you want to voice a concern and you go ahead and do that. Now, in terms of the difficulty of this game, I accidentally stumbled upon Reddit, yes, once in a while, and there was a post linked to an article written by this person named Paul Tassi, somebody who covers the game. And the title of this article went something along the lines of, the Division 2 is facing its old foes, trash loot and spongy enemies and all that stuff. Now, trash loot, I've always been an advocate for how this loot quality needs to be better. That's for sure. And the loot quality doesn't seem to be too great. But I will say, though, that at higher difficulties, I think the loot pool is actually better. I think what a lot of agents are quite worried about right now, and we're seeing complaints, is the fact that many people cannot just blow through and burn through all the content very easily. And I think this stems from the mindset that a lot of people are bringing in, thinking we're already division agents, we know this game, and so we're going to be able to, destroy everything. But from somebody like me who played patch 1.3 of the Division 1 and loved it, I have to say people are whining too early. Controversial statement number one. We've not given the game even 2 weeks to settle in, and people are already saying that the game is too hard. Come on, agents. The community that we had in the Division 1, yes, patch 1.3 was a little weird. I'm not going to lie. It was hard to play. But we had the tools within the game to be able to play and do well in that game. We were able to play all of the content, as challenging, as difficult as it may have been. This is pretty much what we did. In fact, right now we have a lot more. But I feel like there's another mindset too that's going on. I made this build video, and I just took this build video idea on what a heroic or legendary shield build should look like. And a lot of the community were like, well, this is interesting, but we're not interested in running a tank build. And I understand. I'm not interested in running a DPS build. So you're most likely not going to see a DPS video on my channel. Maybe I'll allude to some things that help with DPS. But I feel like there's so much diversity in the game that everybody running around with bullet fire, trying to play some of the more difficult missions, is not going to allow for any success. We're not setting ourselves up for success if everybody in the team is running DPS. DPS is not for everyone. The clip that you're seeing is a legendary clip of just me and somebody else, random. He was the DPS. I just supported him. And I could not, but when we made it past the courtyard, I said to myself, there is no way we just made it past the courtyard on our heroic mission, on the legendary mission, with just 2 of us. And my build is not even min-maxed. It's literally slapped together. I crafted a motherly love pair of gloves, put 4 True Patriot together that one of my clan members dropped. I think he finally dropped the gloves for me. And we went into a legendary mission and we cleared the first, the outside. We cleared the first level, the second level, and I think we got to the 3rd level before somebody joined us. Matchmaking was on. Now, granted, the scaling, that's a whole different topic because they addressed that in the state of the game, was probably favorable for us as 2 players. But note that there are 2 of us just playing our roles. If we had maybe one more DPS person who was maybe somewhat of a hybrid, I almost feel like we could have gotten very far. In fact, when we got the other 2 players, I think that's where the scaling kind of went out of hand. And then because we weren't necessarily specialized and tuned for individual roles, we got stuck in one place where we just needed to get into this room and destroy the support station. And then we could have just continued to move on, and who knows what would have been there at the end. But if only 2 randos can do it. In fact, when I started the mission, I saw this guy doing it by himself. I thought he must be crazy. But that's exactly the person I want to run these missions with. Now, I haven't beaten a legendary mission, but after playing it today, I thought to myself, I said, so there's a way to play this. This person, as I think, has also played this mission, because he was telling me, all right, before you actually let's draw back. We have rushers coming. So I draw back. I'll try to pull their aggro. I had, 1.3 million, armor. That doesn't really do much for you. I had my shield. That doesn't really do much for you either, but it's enough to be able to, revive your guy. And I played kind of a healer hybrid. I just always sent my drone to him whenever he would be doing damage. And he was using his decoy very well. It was quite amazing. You find yourself in a situation where you look and say, okay, everybody might need to play a different role. Some of our agents in this community love DPS builds, but you know what? You might have to have a back pocket healer build just because you want to fit in. Remember back in the day, we all used to have our classifieds ready to go when it came to a mission. So that when you match made, everybody said, who's going to be Reclaimer? When you go to Dragon's Nest, it's how we did it. Who's going to play Reclaimer? Who's going to play, Sentry's Call? Who's going to play this? And some people are like, oh, I have a Sentry's Call. I have a Reclaimer. I have a that. I just feel like we have not established anything yet in the community. And yet we already want the game to be made easy or easier. Sure, I can understand that enemy tankiness is not the best way to go about it. I can understand that enemy damage output might not be the current one we have right now might not be the best way to go. But at the same time, how is it possible that there are other people who are already beating this stuff out there? And I know people will say, oh, because they're YouTubers and they all play 24 hours. Well, sure. But how about us? Our goal is just to be humble enough to say, we don't know everything. You may have been an expert in building in Title Update 6, but now you actually have to you don't even have to be an expert in building now. You actually have to be able to outplay the NPCs. There's now that new layer that's been added because they all behave differently and they all do crazy stuff. Many people are saying, oh, the flamethrower from the cleaner tanks are too strong. And I'm like, you should see the one from patch 1.3 in the Division 1. Not that I'm saying we need to go back there. I'm just saying if you think that's bad, the one we had worse at one time. And so this mindset that we have as a community, we need to start to expand and broaden it. I know many will disagree with me and say that there are better ways to do it. Sure. But you're a division agent and they will make the tuning very soon. But I doubt that tuning is going to do much. Why? There are legendary missions that have legendary rewards tied to them. And Drew said, legendary, we want to keep it where it is. In the state of the game, he said that. It's not really going to change much. Like, I don't think it will really have much of any tweaks. Sure, the scaling might be adjusted a little bit, but not something that will be something where everybody will start running legendaries. And I'm sure everybody wants to run a legendary. But I feel like everybody needs to understand how to play the legendary missions and do things before going in there. I remember, and this mission, when we played it, we had 2 other people join. What we noticed was one person was always rushing to the front, and then one person was already telling us that the mission was already too difficult and we needed to go play another legendary. So we already had 2 people who were on a different mindset than both of us when we were playing, and we were forming a bond and a synergy together. So that's the thing. People who go into these missions need to have the mindset that they're in it to see what happens. But at the same time, everybody's got to understand that we're going to be playing specific roles and we're going to be doing our job and we're going to do it to the most of our ability and not just run and gun or rush in there. No, the enemies are designed to flank you. They're designed to outsmart you. They're designed to put 1 feet in the support station AoE so that they can be healing while you're taking them down. They're very, very well done now. I mean, yes, they're tanky and they can deal a lot of damage, but they still have a lot of very good tactics. I think, personally, the game is in a good place. Agents will just learn over time how to eventually absorb and get to where we're more proficient at playing the game as teams, as random match-made groups, and just having that determination and the oomph to go after it. And this is one thing that I really do miss from playing the Division 1. That's what really formed the bonds and the friendships when people played a lot of these things. Now, yes, there are other people who I remember that were like, I don't want to deal with that. I want to play the most challenging mission in the game. Perfect. There are other levels and there are other, difficulties that you can enjoy the game on. I personally run the open world normal, except I'm doing a mission or a control point. I don't deal with the higher difficulties. I would rather just keep farming regular loot with less issues than deal with all that stress. Some people want to deal with all that stress, so their entire open world is set at least on challenging. Some are setting their open world on heroic. But you have to understand, as a community, we need to give time for the game to get to the point where we eventually understand and adapt to it. Trust me, when they make this scaling down, one of the things that a lot of agents fear is that, well, I guess Yannick already covered it. He said, if you think challenging is too easy for you, then move up to heroic. And if you think heroic is too easy, then move up to legendary. But I feel like if they go ahead and make the tweaks, even the legendary and the other stuff, when people eventually get there, because they're, Drew already said that that they weren't looking at actually moving that needle too far. Many people are going to realize that they haven't gone through the requirements to actually get there and play well. So it will still be skewed, and we're still going to be having these issues. And which is really interesting that, we have people writing about this game from the outside. I'm not saying they shouldn't write. I mean, Paul Tassi, he writes some good stuff. But it's really funny to see that, maybe because of time and the nature of their job, they don't play this game enough to be able to make a lot of the informed, the informed opinions on the game. I'm not trying to diminish their work. I'm just saying it's a very complicated issue. And unless you really have your hand in it, it's hard to be able to come up with, and I've not read the article too, it's hard to be able to come up with a very balanced judgment. Because this community, if this content was any easier, we would have blown through the whole thing and be saying that there's nothing else to do. It was us who blew through all of that other content as they brought it out. Boom, boom, boom. There's nothing left to do. In fact, people were boldly saying the game is too easy now. I remember people were saying that the game is easy now. I can run through a challenging mission all by myself. I can run through a challenging mission all by myself. I can do a whole stronghold by myself. I remember people making those comments, and the developers were taking the feedback and saying, okay, is this the difficulty you want? In fact, I remember when they mentioned you can change the entire open world, on the chat during that world reveal, you should have seen people saying, yes, this is great. Oh, awesome. We can now get more difficulty and more challenging missions. Yay. But where did everybody go? Where are all those people who were excited about the difficulty level that was coming? Let me guess. They didn't expect the difficulty level to be this much. And it seems like some of them don't have enough patience to be able to adapt to the difficulty. So, this is just my opinion right now. And I feel like the attitude of the community will eventually warm up to the game. Maybe some people would disagree and say, this is going to push a lot of players away from the game. I think what's going to push a lot of players from the game is, I don't think it's this. I think it's the loot drops not being rewarding enough for the amount of effort that's put in. I think that's what's going to push people away from the game more than anything. Because if some of the best items were things like, you could guarantee them, then I can almost say for sure that many people will say, okay, if I know that I'm going to get this Bullet King at the end of this, or my chances of getting them are actually this high or higher than they currently are, I feel more people are going to say, okay, let's just put in the time and the effort. So the weekend is coming up. A lot of people are saying that this weekend they're going to put in some more effort. Some people are saying they're going to grind. I'm in that boat too. I'm happy to grind and play along with, with folk in the community. If I fail, I fail, if I get through the mission, I get through the mission. And I'm hoping that a lot more members of the community are going to get a warmer attitude and say, we probably need to play this game differently. We all don't need to run DPS builds. We all need to make sure somebody is at least fully spec'd to be able to support the team. And this might change the attitude of a lot of people in terms of how the game is meant to be played. In that case, I guess I'm going to just drop it now and just let you guys respond so far. If you disagree, if you agree, let me hear in the comment section and I'll get out of your hair, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.